In one of my latest videos, I showed you how to back up your PCs and photos to a NAS and set that up as your own personal cloud, which is very useful, and I recommend checking that out. But I never showed an equally important part, backing up your actual NAS, and to go even further, setting up a third copy offsite to complete your proper 3-2-1 backup solution. So with the help of this video's sponsor, Ugreen, I'll be showing you how to use their NASs to back up your main true NAS server locally, then send another backup offsite with virtually zero networking setup. And like I said, our setup is going to assume that your main server is a true NAS system, and I'm doing this for a few reasons. One is because it's probably the most popular NAS operating system in the home lab community, and two, it's pretty trivial to back up a Ugreen NAS to another Ugreen NAS, as you'll see later, so this will cover a wider range of setups. The Ugreen NAS we're going to be using is the DH4300 Plus, a new model to their lineup that has a few things that set it apart from the others. One is, well, it just has a completely different design. Now, obviously, it's subjective, but I think it's pretty sleek. It's a 4-bay unit with 2.5 gig networking and USB Gen 3.2 for fast external storage expansion. It's also an ARM-based system, which is new for Ugreen, and this gives us the benefit of drawing less power, which in turn means it runs quieter as well. And honestly, I had to look at the lights on the front and hold my ear up to it to see if it was even on, and you can like barely hear it, and that's with 4 drives in here running right now. It's just an all-around awesome system for the price, which is around $350 and could be less with a 20% off discount code in the description. Description? Ugreen also wanted me to show off the NFC login feature if you're about that life. So yeah, using the Ugreen app on your phone, you can just tap the device and log yourself in. Pretty neat. Anyway, let's get into how we are actually gonna use this thing. First off, let's start with our TrueNAS system, where we will be installing the rsync app from the App Store. Note that this is in TrueNAS scale and it's a little bit different on Core. But once we have that installed, we're going to set up a module, which is basically just like a pointer to the directory that we want to back up. Go ahead and select whatever dataset, and if you have multiple, you can just use the root dataset and select children ones later, or you can just create multiple modules. The only thing we really need to do here is make sure that we have a user created that has access to those datasets. I generally create a user specifically for the rsync backups, but you don't have to do it like me. And that's basically it. The rest is going to be over on our Ugreen system, so let's get into that. Now, if you haven't gone through the setup process yet, you'll obviously want to do that. You'll install your drives into the drive bays, which can't be accessed by removing the magnetic top cover here. It's pretty cool. Then you have the choice of using hard drives or SATA SSDs if you want to go that route. And with hard drives, you can get up to 120 terabytes of storage in here. That's freaking insane. Then once you power on your device, you can access the UI in any web browser by going to find.ugnas.com or just use the IP address of the NAS. No lie, I actually think that Ugreen has the best setup process of any NAS software out there. I know this is sponsored, so you're going to take that with a grain of salt, but legitimately their setup process is great. It's just super easy to get going, and they walk you through the important things like setting up your storage configuration, creating your first shared directory, and setting permissions. It's really nice. I'm going with a RAID 5 setup, which is probably what 99% of you will do with 4 drives, and I went with ButterFS because I like snapshots. Once you're in, everything is pretty intuitive, and I'm going to switch over to my desk and walk through this entire setup live. Well, that was cool. All right, so here we are in our Ugreen NAS system, and all we have to do is go to our Sync and Backup app. If you don't have that, you can get it from the App Store or the App Center over here. Just go ahead and make sure you have that installed. And the only other thing you may need is to go into your files and into shared folder and create a new shared folder specifically for backups. But if you already have somewhere in there that you want to store your backups in, then you don't need that. I just went ahead and created a new backups folder. It's pretty easy. Go to new folder, your shared folder, give it a name, where you want it, anything like that. Boom, you're done. But yeah, we are going to go into the Sync and Backup app here. And the first thing is to go into the Backup and Restore. So they have syncs and they have backup and restores. Sync is for Ugreen NAS to Ugreen NAS. Backup and restore is more from another system to a Ugreen NAS or vice versa. So we'll go ahead and create a backup task, and the one we are going to select here is backup rsync server. I like how they give you some little pictures here. I do like pictures, so I appreciate that. Then you'll be able to choose from an existing connection that you've already used or a new connection. Now I have been testing this with my other TrueNAS system. Works great, but for this we are going to do a new connection because I assume that's the one you guys care about. So here is where you enter the server address of your TrueNAS system. So in our case, you'll see that this is 10.0.1.144. And the other piece of information you'll need is the port of your rsync app in here. So go into apps, go into rsyncd. If it's not listed down here, go into edit where you configure this. And down here, you will see the port, which in our case is 30,026. So let's go ahead and enter that. I think that's right. I literally just said it like 10 seconds ago. And then our port number, and then the username if you created one specifically for rsync, which I did. And assuming all of this information is correct, confirm, and you're in. You'll be able to select from the modules that you also created in your TrueNAS system. And we created one that was just on our main share, which had the big share and our image subset children datasets in there as well. Like I mentioned, you can select directly from those, or you can dive further down into those and select individual folders if you want. But for me, I'm just going to select everything. We're just going to back up everything. And then you'll select your backup destination, and this will be locally on the Ugreen NAS that you are using. And remember, I had that backups folder, so I'm going to select that. Then you have a couple of options for the backup mode. So incremental backup is if you want everything copied over essentially every time, where if a file has been deleted on your TrueNAS system, it won't be deleted on the Ugreen system, but files that haven't been touched won't be touched. So you'll just be adding files even if they've been deleted. So if you want that, use incremental. Image backup is essentially just like a mirrored copy, where if you delete something on your TrueNAS system, it'll be deleted on the backup on your Ugreen system. And different strokes for different folks, whatever one you want to do, go for that. Or you can do multi-version, which essentially creates a subfolder, a new folder every time with a new backup. So this will be a bit more robust. It'll take up more data, but you'll have different versions of each backup. So whatever one works for you, go ahead and select that. I'm going to do image backup, and the plan is if you want to do it automatically, you can set that, and you have options here for every day, on weekdays, weekends, or you have custom where you can select the actual days and time that you want this to run. So I'll say we'll run this on Sundays and Wednesdays at 3:04 a.m. Then we'll go ahead and give it a name, TrueNAS Ugreen. And we're just going to go ahead and back this up immediately once we create it, hit confirm, and just like that, we've begun backing up our TrueNAS system to our Ugreen system. That easy. I mean, I wanted this to be a bit more detailed because it makes for a more impressive video, but it's honestly that easy. That's all you have to do. And what's fun is while this is backing up, you can actually go into the task manager and go over to network, and you can see how fast it's going. So you can see we're pulling data in at 120 megabytes per second, which is pretty freaking good. So now that we have our entire NAS backed up, I mentioned that we are going to create a third copy off-site. Sounds tricky, right? Well, it's actually not. I'm going to use my other Ugreen DXP 2800, which is a 2-drive little cute boy here. And the specific device you use for this doesn't matter, but if you plan on dropping this off at a friend's house, they'd probably appreciate a smaller unit. I know I do. Anyway, just go through the same setup process, and all we're going to do is ensure that the sync and backup app is installed and that remote access is turned on. And that is legitimately all we have to do. From our local Ugreen system, we'll be able to set up a backup task using the Ugreen Link ID. No network setup required, since it uses a tunneling system through Ugreen servers that can bypass all of the networking, firewall, and all that good stuff. And if you're familiar with Cloudflare tunnels, it's similar to that. And if you don't want to do this, you can do it the old-fashioned way with a public IP or domain and port forwarding. They even have a DDNS setup for this. We are going to be doing it the easy way though, so as I mentioned, we'll just create a sync task, then enter our Ugreen link ID, and Ugreen handles the rest. Our Ugreen backup NAS will sync over the internet to your offsite NAS no matter where it's at. To show this in action, I actually went and installed this at a friend's house, and all I had to do was plug it in, connect a networking cable, and that's it. And there you have it, an easy peasy proper 3-2-1 backup solution that will keep all of your data safe and sound. That's all I have for this one. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments on how you're implementing a 3-2-1 backup solution, or what you're gonna do to make sure that you do that moving forward. And if you want one of these Ugreen NASs, I'll leave a link for this guy down in the description, where there is an awesome deal going on right now. So make sure you check that out. And I'm gonna give a huge shout out to my YouTube members and my Patreons. You guys are my 3-2-1 backup solution that works perfectly great without any networking setup at all, and just works, man. Y'all are the best. And if you're still watching, you're a toolist drive bay. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.